What you are witnessing right now are the final moments of Monster Hunter Tri's online servers. This is footage from a YouTube user named N-Team counting down the very last moments on April 30th, 2013. 4 years after its release date, it was time to say goodbye. For most games, a server shutdown usually means you're unable to play with people through the internet, but you'd still have access to all of, if not most of, the game's content. That was not the case for Monster Hunter Tri. On that day, hunters were not only unable to play online, but were no longer able to enter Loc Lac City, Tri's unique hub area. Locked behind this area was half of the game's content, such as high rank, Gen Morin, Elatron, and event quests. Gone, vanished into thin air. But why couldn't we go back there? Why wasn't it possible? Before you were let into Loc Lac, the game would first establish a connection to the Capcom server. You could only connect from this menu. It gave you a choice of either offline or online play. Once it notices that there's no connection between you and Capcom's server, it kicks you out of the menu, making entering Loc Lac virtually impossible. There was no way to enter this zone from the offline Moga Village like you could in 3 Ultimate's Port Tanzia. In short, the entirety of this area was server-sided, so once Capcom shut down the server in 2013, a huge chunk of this game was lost to time. People have tried creating private servers to connect to over the years to somehow simulate Loc Lac to no avail. Similar efforts were made for Mindguard, the hub for Monster Hunter and Monster Hunter G that were successful, yet Tri remained uncrackable. Now some of you might be asking, why even play Monster Hunter Tri? Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate already exists. It's an expansion on the base game that includes content for Monster Hunter Portable 3rd as well as G rank. Well, I'd venture to say that Monster Hunter Tri was one of the most unique experiences in the entire series as a whole. In my opinion, the level of charm and ambition it brought was second to none. So let's lay out the key differences between this game and 3 Ultimate, as well as what makes this game so special. Monster Hunter Tri was originally going to be released on the PS3 before Capcom decided to switch over to the Wii instead. This is apparent because of how beautiful this game looks. I think the subdued color palette and art style look fantastic on the Wii, in comparison to 3 Ultimate on the Wii U, which had upscaled 3DS textures that oftentimes looked muddy in comparison. Weird changes to the atmospheric lighting in 3U, for example the darkness inside caves here, as well as cranking the saturation up by a ton, were not to the game's benefit. Tri had a much more cohesive and appealing art direction. The Wii's native resolution definitely does not look as crisp as the Wii U's, however within its limitations its beauty still stands. I'd also like to mention that I'm a really big fan of how the old monster icons and certain UI looked like back on Tri. As mentioned before, the hub of Tri was Loc Lac City, which was later replaced by Port Tanzia in 3 Ultimate. There's a much different vibe in Port Tanzia than Loc Lac, but we'll chalk that up as a stylistic choice. Tri was a difficult game. The Western release of 3 Ultimate tried to make the game much more newcomer-friendly by adding 50 extra base defense at the beginning compared to Tri. 3 Ultimate did a lot of monster AI and hit zone changes as well. Monsters like Barioth and Baroth are a lot more aggressive and difficult to fight in Tri. Barioth without the exploitable hip checks is quite fearsome. Compared to 3 Ultimate, Tri doesn't have every weapon. It removed Gunlance, Hunting Horn, Dual Blades, and the bow, which is a bummer. However, it remedies that with having the most unique and coolest bowgun system in any Monster Hunter title. By switching individual pieces of your stock, barrel, or frame, it would change the way your bowgun would work. The weight, the recoil, whether it shot like a light bowgun or a heavy bowgun, it was very cool. Speaking of uniqueness, let's list off some things that Tri had that were removed in its expansion. Tri had day and night cycles. Each real-life hour would be a day and night cycle within the game. This actually altered whether or not the quest you went on was the day or night version of the area. Subquests were also removed. I always enjoyed the subquest system. I felt like you could be more versatile when you were farming for specific things during quests or needed a way out. Tri also had split-screen local play in the arena. You could stick your save file in your Wiimote somehow and go over to your friend's place and play with your character with theirs on their Wii. Tri had one of the most incredible event quests of all time, World Eater Deviljho. Look at that thing. Also, it was nice not having to deal with charm tables back then. The game is devoid of that freaky RNG stuff going on. Tri, in my opinion, had the greatest social experience in any Monster Hunter game. You could plug in any USB keyboard to your Wii, and you could chat with the various people in the lobby for hours. Want to play with the folks you just met? Make a room from that lobby and they can jump right in. They could also visit your personal customizable home on the outskirts of Loc Lac. Also, you could direct message people in the in-game friends list and just chat. There were so many different lobbies and sub-lobbies to browse through as well. When Loc Lac got removed in 3 Ultimate, a lot of the OST was also removed because of all the unique music that was attached to Loc Lac in its various weather and day cycles. When there was a sandstorm in Loc Lac, that would be the only time you would be able to fight Gen Morin. The music and tone of everything would shift as everyone in these lobbies prepped to fight and gain some of the best gear possible from this battle. Now this leads me to the game's progression. Tri introduced very unique monsters to the series. Things like Deviljho, Elatrion, and Lagiacrus first appeared in this waterborne title. That being said, the game only has 18 unique large monsters compared to the whopping 51 in Ultimate. I'm a firm believer though that more content does not equal better games. MHTri remedies its experience by truly pacing you through these fights. Each new fight is something for you to get a good grasp on before the game makes you fight something new through its Hunter Rank online system. It also felt like the game balanced everything towards your next new monster, whereas in 3 Ultimate, monsters were just thrown at you left and right because there was just so many to go through. This leads me to the final and most important difference between these two games for me. Monster Hunter Tri was much more of a slow burn, immersive game with an incredible amount of charm and uniqueness that you can't find in any other entry in the series. I wouldn't say this about Monster Hunter 4 versus 4 Ultimate, or Monster Hunter Generations versus Generations Ultimate. Tri stands on its own. Well, okay, now we know the game is sick, but what's the point of playing a game that has half its content missing? Or for the last 8 years, there wouldn't be a big reason to. But thanks to the efforts of Sepalani and InusualZ amongst others, it is possible to re-enter Loc Lac. This place that's been under lock and key for countless years is finally able to be explored again. For nearly 10 years, there have been attempts at private servers and reverse engineering to no avail. However, due to new software and the leaps that Dolphin Emulator has taken, this dream could now become a reality. Unfortunately, it's still not possible to play with your friends online. For now, it's only solo. But you can still do every base quest the game has to offer, barring the event quests. This includes being able to even do Gen Morin. This can possibly change in the future, and we can play online with each other just like we used to a decade ago, or for newcomers for the first time. If you want to help these folks in their project to truly revive Loc Lac, please check the thread below in the description or join their Discord. Any help would go a long way in making this project fully realized. As for entering Loc Lac, this can be done either on Dolphin Emulator or on the Wii itself. If you want to know how to set this all up, check out the aforementioned Discord link. Monster Hunter Tri is something extremely special to me. If it wasn't apparent enough, it was my very first Monster Hunter game, and I'm extremely thankful that it was. The amount of friends I made and the hours I spent hunting or just socializing and chatting with these people back in 2010 took up a big chunk of my formative years. This game meant the world to me, and when I and many others were robbed of our ability to truly play it, I felt like a piece of me was lost. What I'd do to visit Loc Lac one last time, I used to tell myself these past 8 years. But here we are, finally able to revisit and replay this incredible game to nearly its entirety. Monster Hunter Tri is worth your time. If you're new to the series or even a veteran that just never gave it a chance, I implore you to take the leap. I just want people to know that this game is more than just something superseded by its expansion. It's its own unique experience filled with challenging hunts, an immersive world, and a Monster Hunter game like no other that deserves an honest shot. Thank you for your time. And Loc Lac, be eternal.